So, who is Ken Wade? Well, the day I first met Ken was a Friday. I wanted to see some art, so I went on Google Maps and searched for galleries near me. I stumbled upon Westbeth, and I went to go check it out. Pretty quickly, I saw a bunch of art that caught my eye, and as I snapped these photos, the docent told me story after story about the artist. I asked him how he met Ken. He laughed and shouted, "I am him!" I knew Devin had to meet this guy.
The next day, Gopal called me up, and I swung by with my camera. He poured me tea and told me all about this random 83-year-old artist down the block. I was intrigued, so we headed over. It was raining hard that day, and as we walked, Gopal told me about the gallery. It was a place called Westbeth, and from the moment we walked by, I saw just how big it was. It's basically an artist commune with more than 300 apartment units converted back in the 70s. Many of these residents, like Ken, have been there for most of their lives, and they did all kinds of things. We even saw some massive puppets right outside the gallery, made by Ralph Lee, who we later found out is the father of puppets and the New York Halloween Parade. Ralph lived at Westbeth until he died earlier this year.
We put away our umbrellas and walked inside. Just like the first time I popped in, the gallery was basically empty. Ken greeted us, and we walked over to a painting with massive shapes overlapping each other, glowing in the light. He told us how he found the idea.
If you're wide awake, and these little things, like the story I told, how I got to that painting, by these slides that I had.
Yeah, you put them together.
I was just playing around. I didn't do it intentionally. I just was like, man, what a great thing. That's when I started thinking.
As Ken and Gopal got talking, I walked around, and beyond those hexagons, Ken's art across more than 60 years of work filled the gallery's white walls. Watercolors from the 70s hung next to paintings from the 60s and peered down on sculptures made just months ago. As I perused, Gopal focused.
3 works, in particular, drew me in. Birds in the Bush from 1964 and Adam 1 and 2 from 1986. They faced off against one another in the same room, and I fell into a kind of orbit between the 2 walls. Ken painted Birds in the Bush when he was only 23. It took another 22 years and a move into Westbeth for him to start drawing these atoms. He told us their story.
This is her thighs, and this is her vagina. No child was in there. Adam wasn't there. These were done in '86. Adam's already like 14 years old. There's a woman here, her name is, she's a gay girl, and she said, I get the feeling you're obsessed with vaginas. I said, I think so. I do. I mean that. I mean, I think that there's this it's incredible. There's this passageway we go through, and suddenly we're born into this, on this planet. It's incredible. And that's what I said, when I looked around and I said, if you're ever attracted to anything, ever drawn to anything, do it. Do it. Step outside yourself, because it may be uncomfortable, and go for it. That's how it is.
Over the next few weeks, we returned to Ken's show a few times.
Nice to meet you.
We got to meet some of his friends, fellow artists who have been living in Westbeth for nearly their whole lives. We saw Ken give a talk and even sing a few songs for a small audience.
If this were a movie, we'd be right on cue. I want to dance with you.
Every time he visited, he'd never stop telling stories. Nearly every work was the tip of some vast mass of memory. It seemed like his whole life was on display. Ken's retrospective show ran for 3 weeks, and thumbing through the guest book, we saw the impact he had on those who swung by. The closing was right around the corner, so we asked if he had anyone coming to help him take down the paintings.
He said no, so we volunteered ourselves. I got to the gallery late that day, and Gopal was already inside taking stuff off the walls. I greeted Ken. Hey, Ken.
Kevin!
Hey, how's it going? How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. He put us straight to work.
If you could take that painting down and just set it against the wall, all these paintings are going to come down, so, it's perfectly all right to put them down there and take them down.
Seeing the paintings on the floor felt like the end of a long, winding journey. The reality of the situation was that this was probably Ken's last show at Westbeth, and for whatever reason, we, two random people who just stumbled in, were the only ones helping him clear it out. As we wheeled his pieces up to his apartment, our time with Ken came to a close, and his work returned, hanging on his walls, where they had always been.
So, who is Ken Wade? He's an artist, still finding things to make after a lifetime of making.
If you like this video, be sure to subscribe. And if you want to read the full story, go to ordinaryeye.com.